I've had experiences in my past where I've tried to like create the perfect Instagram grid and and then I just feel like, wait, this is not me. I feel trapped. I can't do this.
Totally.
I need to change this.
We are hostages to our grids at times.
Yeah. And people always love to ask me like, what was like the key to your success? Or like, when did things really take off? Like, was it a specific program? Was it a specific book? And I'm like, it was just the more I stepped into being myself and the more I stepped into my most real, honest truth and authenticity.
Yes.
Like from having this brand that was like the perfect health coach and the green smoothies and the salads and all the recipes and the yoga and and then as soon as I was like, actually guys, this is my life and I'm still like overcoming an eating disorder and actually this is too perfect and I'm breaking free from this. And stepping into self-love and intuitive eating. And as soon as I started actually being more real for myself and for my people, it was like clients, book deals, speaking events, like things started taking off. And I feel like almost in a way something similar happened last year when like I went through this breakup, right? And it was such a huge catalyst for my growth, such a huge initiation. And I was like, how on earth am I going to share this? Like, this is like such a traumatic, hard thing.
Yes.
But I was like, it's going to actually, like, I was so proud of myself because I was like, it's going to feel harder for me to lie about this and pretend or like gloss it over.
Yeah.
It feels way harder for me to be inauthentic about this and just be like, this has ended and, whatever, like, very grateful, move on. And then I was like, actually, it just feels really right and really authentic to just be real with like, this is what happens sometimes. And this is, sometimes this happens and it's shit and it's hard and I'm going to work through it. And here we are. And I think people were really grateful for just the realness.
Totally. I think that's what people want more than anything, more than they even realize. What I loved so much about, I mean, I was there for it when that happened to you. You did take a few weeks. Like you mentioned, like, I'm going through some things and I'm going to share in time.
Yeah.
And I think that's really an important point that, the internet, as I was once told years ago, is not a place to process. It's a place to serve. It's a place to share wisdom and experiences and to add value. And not to say that you can't show up and you're in the moment, but you really took that time for yourself before you got on to really speak about it with clarity, even though you were still in it. And I appreciated that. I just went through a depression in January and February. I took 2 months almost off of Instagram. I did a lot of work. I did ketamine. I did talk therapy. I did a lot of unraveling. And I haven't actually shared this with my community, but I'll share it on your show. And I have a podcast myself, and my audience expects me to be really authentic and to share what's going on in my world too. But I couldn't share that in real time, right? I had to really, really process and go through that for me. But I know that what I went through, and now that I'm slightly coming out on the other side of it, feeling much better, I have something of value to offer my community now so that I'm sure many of them experience that too. And so for me to get on and talk about in detail, which I plan to do next month on my show, now that I'm past it, will be relatable, will be a safe space, will make them feel less alone, right? Because we all go through breakups, we all go through heartache, we all go through depression and anxiety and struggle. And so this is what I was saying earlier, of if you come on and make sure that you're delivering it in a way that is not just about you, but about what your audience needs, which is why I've resonated so much with your content, because it's so real for you, but you're talking to so many women, Mel, who've experienced heartbreak too. I mean, I years ago, and I was like, I've been there.
Yeah. And
I feel proud of her, and I feel proud of myself for how far I've come and how far she's going to go. I mean, and we've met just today, and there's this connection because you're so real and authentic. And I know that my audience feels that way about me too, because I can't hide it. But it can also be about timing, and you have permission, speaking to your community, to do things and share things when you are ready.
Thank you. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people listening that are like, wait, do I have to share everything?
No, yeah.
I really don't want to.
Yeah, totally.
You know, there's certain things that you absolutely don't have to share. So when it comes to a personal brand, babe, like what are the most important elements and what is like kind of optional? Like how far do people have to go?
Totally. So I wrote about this in my book, okay?
Yes.
And this is one of our cornerstone frameworks at SimplyBe. So I've created and trademarked a tool called the Personal Brand Hologram. And all my tools are named after magical, spiritual, cosmic spaces and whatnot. But the Personal Brand Hologram is the first tool. It's the step one. It's your message. Everything else comes from your brand, your strategy, your tactics, your execution. But you have to have a clarified message first. I believe that clarity is king today. There's a lot of noise. Everyone's clamoring for attention and audience. And the way to pierce through that is through clarity. And so the hologram essentially is a circle in the middle with 4 boxes around the circle. And then in the circle in the center is what we call your brand headline. So it's like your slogan, your tagline, like what's the feeling, what's the thing, what's the experience, the emotion in a sentence or less that you want someone to feel or think of when they hear your name. Okay, and that's tricky. It's one of the hardest places to get to.
Yeah.
The magic of clarity, and to your question, comes in those 4 pillars. They're called brand pillars. And you only get 4 of them. It's, again, about clarity and depth at the same time. And we've found that 4 is that sweet spot to really understand what are the pillars of which your brand is going to stand on. What are the content topics, if you will, that you're going to speak to and own and say in dynamic and new ways, but consistently over and over and over and over again. That's how you create brand awareness and marketing, and clarity is that consistency. And so to your question, you're not meant to share your whole life. That's actually really unstrategic too, because then you just come off like a hot mess like I did when I was first starting my business. But you have to choose with discretion and with intention what you want the market to know you for. And you don't owe your life in a glass case to the internet. You get to choose. And so the aim of the hologram is to empower you to choose things that share your expertise, why someone would hire you, spend money on you, why you're great at what you do, but also who you are and what would make you relatable and trustworthy and likable at the same time. So I'll use myself for example. I have leadership and entrepreneurship as one of my pillars. I have women empowerment for another one of my pillars. I obviously have personal branding as another one of my pillars, and I have spirituality and light work as one of my pillars. I also have a whole other host of things I could talk about with a lot of depth and passion, like my marriage. That's private. I don't really share Brian, my husband, often online. It's just a choice that we have made in our relationship. That is sacred. I have been through a lot of my own health crises. I had an autoimmune disease for most of my 30s. I'm very well adept in holistic modalities, peptides, hormone therapy, holistic medicine. I don't talk about that often because that's not what I want my audience to come to me for. I'm not a health coach. I give back to, tons of organizations for my faith. I'm Jewish. I have big passion for animals. I'm involved in like the Humane Society. I'll sprinkle that stuff in, but I don't make that the cornerstone of my platform. None of that, because leadership, personal branding, women empowerment, and spirituality is what I want my audience to really know me for and to connect with. This powers my business, but it also serves. And so it doesn't belong all of it on the table. You get to decide. And so the hologram and all of my work, while it's personal branding work, it's personal empowerment work at its core.